What's up, guys? Welcome to Information Operation. I'm Connor Ryan, and we're coming at you on location from Sacred Tattoo Studio in Marquette, Michigan, bringing you your locally sourced ideas, thoughts, and inquiries. Today on the podcast, we feature Henry Wilson. He is a retired Coast Guard officer, a coffee enthusiast, a tattoo enthusiast, a yogi. So it was great to sit down, have a cup of coffee, and just enjoy a conversation. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Welcome to the show. We have Henry Wilson. He is retired Coast Guard officer, tattoo and yoga enthusiast, and also a self-proclaimed coffee connoisseur. How are we doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me, man.
No worries. What's going on in the life of Henry?
Well, not a whole lot right now. I'm kind of just hanging out, and I'm moving at the end of the month.
Yeah.
So a lot of changes going on, and I'm kind of just getting...
Recently retired.
Yeah, Monday was my last official day.
That's beautiful. Are you excited about it?
It hasn't really hit me yet. It's just weird. You
Yeah.
know, I'm just still like waiting on a phone call.
Right. So you were in the Coast Guard for 9 years,
Correct.
doing pretty much anything that the Coast Guard does in the area.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, mostly. So for 2 years, I was in San Diego, and
Okay.
I was on a big ship that would go all over enforcing laws and stopping drug busts. And we went to Haiti for that earthquake, if you remember that. That was a
Yeah.
long time ago.
Yeah.
But then I moved to Houghton after boat driving school, and worked on lighthouses and buoys and drove the boats.
Are you from California?
No, I'm not. I'm a nomad. I'm not from anywhere
Okay.
in particular.
So you just randomly got stationed in Houghton, and that's how you ended up in Marquette.
Right. Houghton, like, on the picks, because you don't really get a pick, but you get to say, like, this is my first choice, this is my second.
Mm-hmm.
It was, you could do, like, I was drawn to it because you could do, like, a lot of different things there.
Yeah.
Because it was, like, a small station, and there's, like, not a lot of Coast Guard up here. So you, like, get more freedoms and
Cool.
stuff like that.
What was the training like for Coast Guard to like get your foot in the door?
Boot camp, I don't remember it that well. It was a while back, and also it was easy. You just turn your brain off and you just do whatever they tell you. Like, that's why I don't think I remember it that well. I just kind of...
Do you think everyone was able to do that?
No, definitely not.
So it broke some people
Oh yeah,
in the
absolutely.
ways that it should, I suppose.
Yeah, and just, I guess, people who aren't raised with a certain amount of discipline, or like they don't really quite comprehend like what obedience
Yeah.
and stuff like that, I think they just don't grasp it.
Okay.
And so, I mean, my dad is in the military, and we just kind of grew up with like a, that sort of like, because he had it, so it was all, it
That
was kind of...
mentality was kind of ingrained.
Yeah, like, he's the leader, do what he says,
Yeah.
like, and that's not necessarily, exactly like that at home, but,
Right.
you knew who the boss was,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so in boot camp, you just, all right, he's the boss.
You
Like,
just listen. So, do you think that boot camp adequately prepared you for being in the field?
no.
Not at all. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, no, you don't, and the crazy thing about the Coast Guard is, like, you go to boot camp and you're multiple years away from ever doing what you think you want to do in the Coast Guard. After boot camp, I went to San Diego and I washed dishes on a ship underway. I peeled potatoes, like, old school.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did that.
That's not what your training was for. When you were doing it, you're like looking for more, I'm sure.
Right, you're like cleaning tables and like swabbing. And so
Yeah.
you and you're like painting things, and so you kind of like have to like have a buy-in.
Right. Well, how did that make you feel? Did you feel like you kind of got like taken advantage of and just thrown in the brig almost?
No, no. It's sort of the worst time of your life, but also the best because you're not alone. Like you are living on this boat with all these other guys, like, and you're all experiencing it at the same time, and you're like, man, this is terrible, and
Yeah.
I don't like this, but everyone else is feeling that same way.
Right.
So it's like the crazy like camaraderie.
Yeah.
That is
The
like,
brotherhood just grows that much stronger.
yeah, it's crazy. And it doesn't last forever. So I mean,
Yeah.
and that probably broke more people than boot camp in terms of like, I don't know. I guess that a lot of people just can't do that sort of thing. I guess sometimes.
Well, I don't think a lot of people see the value of hard work pays off. You know, you're going to put your time in, you're going to have to do some legwork, and then you're going to see an outcome. Not everybody gets to see that outcome because they can't, like you said, turn your mind off and just get through it.
Yeah, and I'm like I really didn't enjoy it, but when I got to Houghton, I was like so like when I got to that station, a lot of people are like, yeah, this station is like, you know, it sucks here, like this and that. But when I got there, I'm like, this is the coolest place in the world.
Coming
Like,
from San Diego.
well, from just that particular job, like
Yeah.
I've seen like that job is cool, and we got to go all over the world
Yeah.
for free.
Right.
But just the work was so like,
Mindless.
yeah, mindless and not what I wanted to do. And I didn't have any responsibility or like anything. I was just like working.
Right.
But when I got to Houghton, like they're like, yeah, you're gonna be driving this boat. You're gonna be driving the forklift, like just different things. You're gonna be shooting
Yeah.
guns. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is crazy. This is the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah. Really
And-
cool job.
Right. And I think people who, because not everyone in the Coast Guard has that same experience. I think like, you know, I think you got to have like some, it gave me so much perspective. Like perspective is the only way you'll know like you're in a good place kind of. So I'm definitely thankful for those hard years.
Yeah. What were your responsibilities once you moved past San Diego? You got to Houghton, you got to Marquette. What kind of things were you doing in the field?
So once I left San Diego, I went to Virginia, and I went to like a boat driving school. It basically just gave you the basics of navigation and boat driving. It's kind of like when you get your license, like you have a good idea of what to do, but you're really not a driver. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
You're like, all right, this is a stop sign. I'll stop at it.
Right. But your awareness is only like in the periphery. You know, you don't really have like
Right.
that 3-4 cars ahead awareness that you would after driving for 5 years or 10 years or whatever, you know.
Exactly.
Like your grandpa's the best driver in the world.
Right. And so they send you to Houghton with this, you know, not even like a license, but just some training. And then you have to kind of like get certified when you
Right.
first get there. And
Right.
so it takes a while. It takes about a year for your initial one. And so I got certified on all the boats to drive them. And so when you're a boat, not everyone in the
These
coast.
are huge boats, right?
Yeah, the ones in Houghton are big. And there was some different ones there when I was there, but they're 47 feet. And they have like 25 footer, and they had a
Yeah.
26 footer at the same time.
Yeah. And then they have like little rescue boats as well. And
That's like 25.
gotcha.
But they're all technically small boats, but
Now that 47 footer, is that a steam or what, a coal or diesel or what?
it's a diesel.
Okay. I always wonder that when I see these huge boats, like, well, what do they run off of?
Yeah, most of them are diesel.
What about those freighters in Lower Harbor? Is that a diesel?
I'm not sure about that.
Me neither. I'd like to find that out.
They're probably diesel.
I wish young Nate was here. We could
Yeah.
ask him to fact check it. But he's on a fishing trip right now. What kind of encounters did you have in Houghton and Marquette that stick out to you on the water?
So Houghton is a really like cool unit just because it's in the Keweenaw, and it's in the center of the lake. So it's designated as like this thing called like a heavy weather unit,
Yeah.
which is basically means like they have a particular boat that can go out into these big crazy waves.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they're in the middle of the lake, so they kind of designated that. And so I got after I think it was a couple years of driving boats there, they sent me to Cape Disappointment, which
That
is in
sounds really promising.
yeah in Oregon. It's like
Keep this point.
yeah, and I'd been there before for one school, but they sent me there for what's called like heavy weather coxswain school, which is like all you do is just drive in big waves and
Right.
like
So it's like boat driving school on steroids.
yeah,
Yeah. That sounds gnarly.
yeah. It
Did you
was
have you had to do like any crazy search and rescues in that kind of weather?
um nothing like what I experienced there because it's the ocean and it's has huge waves that are have a lot further period in between them.
Right.
Like the lake here is like boom, boom,
Super
boom.
sporadic.
Yeah. So it's like driving a boat there was cool because it was like the waves are huge and they're in the ocean. So you could like they taught you all these really neat tricks, which most of them normally only work on the ocean just due to like the way. And so it's fun to like go back to Houghton and then sort of like adapt it to the lake.
Right.
And by the time, I got to Marquette, I've been driving a boat on the lakes for a long time. So I was able to kind of create my own style and sort of just for this particular lake because it acts like it can be a lot crazier than
The ocean.
the ocean. Yeah.
And I don't think people give it that credit. For people listening who are not in Marquette, like what is the true power of Lake Superior as you've seen it?
So I was thinking about this the other day. So like when you grow up in movies and stuff, the ocean is like they always, it's full of sharks. There's hurricanes. There's tidal waves. Like
Right.
everybody knows like the ocean's powerful and
Yeah.
dangerous,
It's bigger than the landmass, right?
right? But nobody, unless you live up here on the lake, understands like the lake can just like whip up crazy like storms. Like I remember in Marquette, we were driving out, and it was pretty small, like maybe 2 or 3 foot, just like it's whatever. And we passed, I think we just all we did was get past Black Rocks or something,
Yeah.
and then we just look, and there's just like this white, like kind of like Game of Thrones style, like this white like mass coming.
Yeah.
And when it hit us, it was like this crazy just storm, and it was huge. Like the waves were just huge out of nowhere, and we're just, I check the marine weather forecast and everything like very methodically when I'm on duty, just to
Right.
so I know what's going on, so I don't get blindsided. And this thing was just like boom, and it didn't let go. Like it was just we were out there for hours in it, and it was just crazy. And I was like, if someone was in a fishing boat or a kayak or something,
Yeah. Have you ever had one of those encounters where someone was like out there when they shouldn't have been out there?
yeah, I'm sure. I'm trying to think of something that comes to mind directly, but definitely, that's why we do get called. That's like a pretty often occurrence. I mean, when it's like sunny and nice and people are kayaking, they're not really, normally like, let's pop off a couple flares and see if the Coast Guard will come help us out.
It's usually pretty gnarly
Yeah.
when that happens.
Yeah, it's normally just like crazy and just wild.
Right. And that's not even considering the ice, like the shit that goes down when the Arctic tundra of Marquette is here.
Hmm.
That probably adds a whole new element to Lake Superior.
That's like one of the, yeah, I love the lake. That's why it's like, the lake is so unique in that it changes just like the seasons. Like, sometimes there's hard water, like it's just frozen.
Right.
Like a couple years ago, I think it was like 95 or 97% frozen,
That's
and you
nuts.
could have just walked to Canada.
Right.
And then some days it's like flat and you're just hanging out, and other days it's like an ocean. If you remember that really big storm we had
Yep.
in the fall,
Like 25 footers.
it was huge.
2 people lost their lives in that storm.
Yeah,
That was pretty gnarly.
yeah, that was super gnarly.
I think they were young too.
Yeah. The lake is definitely, you got to have a healthy fear of it.
Yep. A level of respect.
Of all water, really.
Yeah.
Of any water.
Why?
It's so powerful, man. Like,
And when you say powerful, like rip currents or undertow, or technically, how would you describe that?
Just the fact that water constantly changes, so it's going to be different every day. Like if you go to Dead River, one day it could be, not really moving, and the next day it's like raging.
Right.
Like I guess you can get a false confidence or something like that.
Right. If you build like a habit around it and you're doing it on a consistent basis, and then it's unpredictable the next day.
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, I mean, I'll surf the lake, and I know like Surfer Dan and a couple other people surf a lot, and but they definitely know what days not to go out, and they spend a lot of time in the lake. Like
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time on the lake, so and that should say something that I have a healthy fear of it.
Big time.
Yeah.
And I'm just starting to get into that. Like, last summer was my first summer ever in Marquette, and I started swimming.
Oh yeah, your last summer here. Or
Yeah.
your first summer here, right?
First summer here was last summer.
Yeah.
So this would be my second, and I don't really have like a full-time job per se this summer, so I'll have
I
even
heard
more
that.
time to do the things that I want to do, and one of those things is swimming, like distance swimming. And I find that Lake Superior is like one of the most fun places to do that.
For sure.
But I've been, warned many times about the dangers of swimming around Presque Isle, the dangers of swimming around Little Presque, the dangers of swimming out as far as I can into the lake and then swimming back, because I do that for motivation.
Yeah.
Swimming next to the shore, I tend to go a little bit shorter distance because I'm not pushing myself to get back. And I also don't have that surge at the end. Like it doesn't make me want to sprint in the water. So, I mean, would you discourage somebody from swimming distance in Lake Superior?
That's tough to say. It's tough to say because so many people have lost their lives swimming in Lake Superior.
Yeah.
Just, but it's that same thing, if you don't have a lot of experience swimming in it, then have a healthy fear, wear a life jacket, wear a wetsuit, like have someone watch you, have a chase boat or something. Like, I've definitely done some dumb things in Lake Superior and been like, I'm real glad I'm alive, but
Yeah.
and like with the Sacred Boys, we'll snorkel and we'll do all that stuff. And I normally play lifeguard.
Right.
I'm trying to watch everybody else.
That's cool.
But at the same time, I've definitely like, I don't know, like,
You gotta watch yourself too.
yeah, like,
Watch what you do.
like that big storm when those people lost their lives. Like I went swimming, down at, South Beach.
Dude, I wanted to do that so bad. And my, Dustin, he told me I couldn't. Like, I was working that day. He's like, we need you to work tonight. I don't want you to die.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I wanted to go surf, but it was so windy. Like your surfboard was just blowing it out of your hands. So I just swimming around the waves and stuff, and I was definitely really scared. But it was also like kind of like, since I'm a boat driver, like I could technically be called to drive in that
yeah,
at the time. So it was like, so I mean,
it had to be humbling.
no, for sure, the lake's always humbling. But you have to. I mean, if someone's gonna ask me to drive a boat and stuff in that, like I got to be able to like swim in it and like
Right?
kind of like get a feel for it, you know what I mean? Just because I'd never seen the lake that wild here. Only up in Houghton have I ever seen it that big.
Right. Another interesting point that you brought up is like there's a border in the water between us and Canada. What kind of encounters do you have with that border and like patrolling that area as a Coast Guard agent?
Well, I'm not in the Coast Guard anymore, but
Right,
but yeah,
you've
when
had experience in that.
not a whole lot, man. Just they always tell you, I mean, you're responsible for it in terms of just because it is a border between your countries. But I've personally never done anything. I've definitely had a lot of training and been told, different things, but I haven't done a lot of like that. Just because, I mean, the lake is so big and the area that those stations are responsible for, like that line is so far out that,
It's not really the concern of the Houghton station.
um, I mean, I guess it could be, but
Huh.
not when I was there. Not
Right.
too much.
So you're talking also about some drug busts that you were involved with. Is that more towards like Florida, in between South America and Florida?
Let's see here. When I was on the ship, it would be towards Mexico, Colombia, somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those areas.
What was
Guatemala, stuff like that.
what was that like?
Um, that was pretty cool. Um, I didn't get to like do any of the fun parts just because I was so low ranking. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's guys like flying helicopters off the boat and like driving the small boats. Like, they get to go like chase them down.
Right.
So that
Like,
was
what did the scene look like? There was like a big boat bringing a bunch of drugs into the United States, and then when they realized they got caught, they like, did they try to stash it or ditch it or what?
sometimes, but normally they just um, the helicopter will like shoot out their engines and then the small
What?
boat would bring over.
Shoot out their engines with guns?
Yeah. But I do remember like the cool part was like so they would be offloading all like this stuff and you just like you would literally just pick up like a bale of cocaine that was like it was like massive like
Yeah. And in that bag, you're looking at like thousands of
but
dollars.
you do like 30 bales like 30 of those per like bus
Just
like
duffel bags?
no like bales
Bales.
like imagine hay bale but it's just cocaine.
Right. And it's like see-through plastic covering it.
Yeah, it literally looks just like on TV.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
And you got it in your hands and you're just like passing it through.
No, yeah, you carry it to this locker, and I remember my one buddy, he actually tried to like take one.
Wow. Like stash it. Like,
Yeah,
no,
he's
this
like
for
he's like
later.
trying to walk down to like his bathing area where he slept, and
Yeah.
someone was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, nothing." It's like, dude, you're not gonna like stash.
I mean, how many thousands of dollars? How much weight are we talking?
I don't know, like really heavy,
Yeah.
like 50 pounds probably per bale or something crazy.
Right.
I mean, I'm not sure about this so long ago, but
Right, but that's thousands of dollars regardless.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. What do they do with it? What does the Coast Guard do with it once they get it?
They normally turn it, at least all the ones that we did, it depends on where you get it and stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes you turn it over to like the different countries' coast guards or Navy, or you just bring it back to the States, or there's all this. It all depends on like where you get it at and stuff.
Interesting. So it gets cycled back in.
Probably.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, but it's cool. That was definitely cool.
So it sounds like a cool job, and it sounds like you learned a lot from it, but you ended up leaving last week.
Yeah, no, the Coast Guard is definitely a really cool job,
Yeah.
and I mean, any job is what you make of it. Like, there's probably a ton of people on the Coast Guard who are like, I'm not really into it, but I mean, I liked it.
Yeah.
Especially up here, like driving the boats is really cool.
I bet.
Yeah.
What ended up making your mind up to leave?
Just some medical stuff. They basically I didn't qualify to keep doing my same job, so we sort of just parted ways admirably.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they were good for me, I was good for them, but we just go our separate ways.
Dang.
Yeah.
What's next?
Um, I don't know. I'm kind of like you right now. Like, that's one thing I like about you is I feel like you have a lot of things that you're into, but you don't know necessarily what, and you're like staying open-minded. Like, that's kind of how I am. I'm like, there's a lot of stuff that I like,
Yeah.
and I don't want to like just put myself in a box because I just got out of one.
Right.
Like, that was my job and that was what I was going to do. And so now I'm like, I'm going to go to college and I'm thinking I'm going to pursue nursing,
Wow.
maybe go further in that, but I honestly don't know. Like,
That's pretty cool.
maybe who knows? Like, school is such a, it's a big world. Like,
Right. Nursing's another box too.
Yeah.
You know, like once you get involved with that and you get a job at the hospital, it becomes another box that you're involved in.
Right. But you can also do, I mean, my wife's a nurse. She's got a job that doesn't even, she's not even nursing right now. Like she's
Hmm.
traveling and there's just cool stuff and other, nursing, there's a lot of like other things you can do, you know? You can go
Yeah.
further. Like if you're a nurse and you're like, well, I want to be a doctor now, like you've already
Put,
gotten that part
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. And you
Like,
kind of know what it's going to, you have a lot more hands-on experience about what it's going to entail.
right.
So,
And I was fine being a boat driver for the rest of my life. Like I love driving boats. I'm good at it. Like, but it's kind of, and that's why like my parents and some other people are like, you see, you are gonna be driving a boat again and stuff, and I'm like, I mean maybe, but not right now, just because
yeah.
it's good to
Keep it,
like,
keep your options open too.
yeah, and you kind of gotta evolve a little. I think if you just do the same thing, unless it's something that you're really into and passionate about,
Hmm.
but I think it would be good to, you know, I got good at that. I think it'd be good to get good at something else.
Right. And you never know if that's gonna, you know, something that you let go of in the past is gonna come back and help you in the long run.
Yeah, for
You know,
sure.
you might find yourself driving boats for an entirely different reason in the future.
Yeah.
I was talking about that with a good friend of mine yesterday about wrestling. Because, you know, I wrestled in high school and that was a huge part of my life for a long time.
Hmm.
And then when it was time to, you know, go to college and move away, I kind of let it go.
Hmm.
And now, like next year, I'll be the head coach for Ishpeming High School.
Dude.
So wrestling just kind of entered my life
Hmm.
again, in a way that I could have never predicted.
Hmm.
So it's kind of cool how things kind of cycle through, and you never really let go of those take-home messages
Hmm.
from each endeavor that you pursue.
Hmm.
So you
Yeah.
never know.
And it's like that perspective again, man.
Hmm.
So you definitely have probably gained a lot since the last time you were involved with wrestling.
Well, yeah, almost. I mean, I'm a completely evolved person from when I was in high school. Completely different person with a lot more. You know, when I'm talking to these kids, I'm not just like reading out of a book. You
Yeah.
know, I'm like trying to speak with all the wisdom in my heart and like
Yeah.
actually give them something that they can take into the rest of their lives, just like I have.
Yeah. That's something I think about a lot too. And I think about like, so you've got like perspective on you from like right now to like high school.
Hmm.
But like, how weird is it to think like you in 10 years is gonna like on you right now?
Yeah. Well, it's cool. I'll be able to check this out when I'm 10 years down the road
Yeah, no, that is super cool.
with the podcast. I like the idea of that. I really do. Because I don't have a photo album. I don't do that.
Yeah.
But this is kind of like my memento
Yeah.
anyway. But I've been seeing a lot of you at yoga lately.
Yeah, definitely.
What have you been getting out of that?
Um, dude. Yoga has been, so I was a big, in Houghton I did a lot of CrossFit and I've always kind of been bouncing between gym and gym until I started doing CrossFit. I got injured
Hmm.
at work actually, lifting something dumb, and then I still trained.
Hmm.
And then I had shoulder surgery, and I had some other problems. But so Jen had like a free yoga day or something, and I was in like
Yeah.
physical
Was that
therapy.
like July 4th?
I don't remember.
I know they did
Probably.
one on July 4th, and that was awesome on the boardwalk.
Oh no, this was one in like her studio is really new
Mm-hmm.
because I'd known her from
Oh,
Blackfly.
okay.
Her and Nate.
Gotcha. Her and Nate used to crush it over there.
Yeah,
She's not
and I'd
there.
always like walk in the Blackfly, and I'd like see all these people laying on the floor with like towels on their face, and I'd be like, "This is so weird. Like,
Right?
what are they doing?"
Yeah, because she was teaching. She was teaching all over the place.
Yeah,
She's really nervous, but she's going to be on the podcast soon.
yeah, you got to get her.
It's really exciting.
Yeah, they're the best. Like, and that's another thing. Yoga is like, I think it's so crazy. Don't you want to be a yoga instructor, right?
Yes, absolutely. With
Yeah.
all my heart.
Yeah, I think I have maybe a passion to do that at some point in my life as well.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, I was thinking about this, like, yoga is like a very selfish activity, like, in terms of just you
Yeah.
being on your mat and like you're just doing it to like
Yeah.
for yourself,
It's very inward focused.
right? But like teaching yoga is like seems very selfless, like just based on like
Yeah, that's really interesting. I haven't thought about it like that. It's so
Yeah,
true though.
yeah.
Um,
Because you're in the heat and like you're holding on to these sweaty people and you're like going through the flow and it's like it just seems like a very selfless act.
yeah.
So I definitely appreciate just there's like a lot of like things in yoga that you don't get at a normal gym
Yeah.
or normal training beyond just the health aspects. Like yoga's great, like you get flexible and other stuff like
You get strong and you get your alignment together, but I think you're kind of referring more to the mental health and the spiritual
yeah,
aspects of yoga.
yeah, like the breathing and just being in your own head
Hmm.
and like there's like a lot of like and as guys who go to yoga I feel like there is like it's kind of weird like not like social anxiety but like at first if you're the only when you're first going you're the only guy in there and it's like this is weird like
Yeah, you feel vulnerable.
yes,
I don't think we get enough of that nowadays.
right, and it's great to have that and do the weird poses that you're like this is weird and I'm uncomfortable but doing it and in front of people and
Yeah.
there's like just
And
a
getting
lot.
through it.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of things about yoga, the and all the teachers over there are like they just you can tell that they aren't really there. They're not there to make money. They're there to like they're so I'm trying to think of the right word, but it's
Genuine. They're authentic.
100% yeah, genuine, yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
it's a really cool community. And the hot yoga too.
Yeah.
It's very special, I think.
Yeah, and yeah, it's very healing physically, mentally.
Right.
So, and like I said, I was in physical therapy for a couple different things and
Right.
it wasn't really going anywhere and I just started doing yoga and I was just like, whoa.
And you felt the difference?
Oh yeah.
How?
Just the sort of mobility I was getting in terms of just holding poses and doing different things and like staying fluid.
Yeah.
It sort of I think that was probably part of the problem is I wasn't, I was real rigid and stuff and
So it aided in your recovery.
absolutely.
Your shoulder and
And my knee, yeah.
your knee.
Yeah. And I also look at guys like Nathan Taylor, like he's doing yoga and dude, he's gonna keep doing yoga and he's just gonna like he's gonna stay mobile and in good shape for, it's like a good just maintenance thing. Like even
Right.
guys like our age, like or I mean we're not the same age, but
Yeah.
like if we're doing yoga now, like
How old are you, Henry?
I think I'm 29.
Think so?
Yeah, I think
I
so.
don't know when your birthday is.
Yeah.
I'm a nomad. Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like there's
Absolutely. To get into that habit.
and like some people can do CrossFit or lift weights into their whatever really,
40s,
older.
50s,
But
usually.
mostly you can't.
Right. Without any kind of maintenance.
Right.
And, how do you combine exercise and yoga?
So sometimes I lift weights and stuff. I haven't lifted weights in a while, but I've been an avid runner, mountain biker, surfer, stuff like that. Really, I try to, at least as of lately, yoga is like my main focus,
That's super cool.
and then everything else is kind of just whatever I can get and do
Yeah.
extra.
Yeah.
Um,
It all kind of comes down to time. Now that you don't really have a 8-hour a day job,
Yeah.
you are going to have the time to give to yourself
yeah,
and do the things that you want to do.
yeah, and so my wife's best friend is a teacher.
Yeah.
And so she told Emily, my wife, that I think she teaches first grade or preschool or something. And so she basically said like the kids who are there 5 days a week learning as opposed to the kids who are there like, less than 5 days, get so much more out of it that the kids who aren't there, it's kind of a waste of time. So I kind of like apply that to my life. Like, what should I be spending 5 days a week on? Like, and at least, this is in the past week, that I've had, but so I've
Yeah.
kind of like picked out yoga. Like, I got to do it 5 days a week, to like get the benefits, I guess. Or I mean, you can obviously get benefits, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to like,
Well, that's kind of the formula to success
yeah,
is first gain the knowledge and then apply that knowledge or learn how to apply that knowledge
yeah,
and then do it consistently. And with that formula, the sky's the limit.
right,
You can do pretty much anything as long as you apply what you're learning consistently.
right. Yeah, and I mean, before though, when I would work shifts, so I'd work 72 hours and then 72 off.
4 days on, 4 days off.
Yeah, and when you're in the military, you cannot make a plan because you do what you're told.
You're
And,
kind of on call too.
right. Yeah. I mean, you can make a plan, but the second you get a call or a text, that plan's over.
Yeah.
You're doing whatever they want.
Yeah.
So it's weird, like having all this time
Mm-hmm.
and like sort of just using it how I want, kind of.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about that because, some people do have that time and they don't use it for anything productive at all.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they use it watching Netflix or like scrolling Instagram or something like that.
Yeah.
And somebody who can be responsible with that time because time is an asset and there's no refunds
Yeah.
and it's limited. So when people are responsible at that time and they make progress doing something, that truly inspires me.
Right.
What are you going to do besides yoga?
Well, so I normally set myself some lofty goals, New Year's resolutions. And I had set this one for running, but got an injury and didn't get to complete that, and I might start it back up. But I've been reading 2 books a month,
Whoa.
so that's been going pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm still tracking on that.
What do you read?
I'll read anything. I get given a lot of books, which is pretty cool. My mother-in-law, sister, Dan gave me another good book. But so I'll read them, and I mostly like sci-fi though.
Cool.
Yeah.
What do you get out of sci-fi books? Does it teach you anything?
Yeah, there's definitely tons of stuff to learn. I mean,
You have to educate me because I have no knowledge on this.
yeah, it's just it's a fun escape and also sort of, real world problems in some other crazy elaborate scene that's been painted by the author.
Yeah. I'm sure it's easy to draw parallels
Yeah.
between the dimensions that
Yeah.
between your own life and these characters that they plot.
Right. And I just read so Altered Carbon is like a new Netflix show. And when like a show comes up or something that looks interesting or a movie, I'll normally like Google and see if it's based off a book. Because
You want to read the book first?
yeah, and I normally don't watch the movie anyway because it's not any good, but if they're making a movie about it, it must have been a killer book.
Right. That's
So
interesting.
that series, the book series, was really great. It was really interesting. It was this guy who's like a soldier of the future, but instead of like soldiers, they like nowadays like are training them physically. It was this weird reality where they only trained them mentally because they were able to like put them in different bodies or like robots and stuff.
Kind of like the Matrix.
Kind of, but this guy was like totally like sort of programmed in his head like through all this training. It was super weird, but it was very interesting, I thought. It was
Yeah.
very unique and it was very interesting the way the author wrote.
Yeah. I've despised reading my entire life, which is kind of interesting. Me and my dad share that quality.
Yeah.
And I used to always make excuses like I'll just learn through videos, or I'll just learn on the just different platforms of media besides reading because I hate it so much. But recently I've kind of put that aside as I've had to dig into some yoga books to
Yeah.
get ready for teacher training that's happening in June. So
Yep.
today was 126 days of consecutive yoga,
Nice.
and I've been trying to catch up with reading like once a week,
Yeah.
just like chapter by chapter. And then I was given this book called the Bhagavad Gita, which is translated into the book of, or the Song of God. It's the Hindu Bible. And that has really sparked an interest for me in reading because it's so profound. I'll find myself like getting lost in a book, which I've never had the experience of doing. Like not even as a kid, I'd always be like not focused, looking around, thinking about what I'm gonna have for dinner, like when do I get to be done reading?
Yeah.
And now that I've found things that really intrigue me, I've been able to get into reading, which is really refreshing.
Yeah, reading for sport is definitely a lot different than reading for like work, like school and stuff.
Right. In
Yeah.
a big way.
Yeah.
Because reading for school, it there's like there's like a gap in between what you're trying to, what the purpose of doing this is, and what the outcome will be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like you're reading to get a grade, and then the grade is going to get you a degree, and then the degree is going to get you something, but you're not quite sure what that thing is. So like there's these barriers that kind of like throw off your intellect or your interest.
Right.
It's weird.
It's like yeah, it'd be interesting for me to see how I do or what happens at school. I haven't been to
Yeah.
school in 10 years, so
I haven't been to school in a year. I'm gonna go back in the fall.
you are?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I have to finish.
Yeah.
I have 1 year left on my bachelor's.
Nice.
So in the meantime, it's just been all things that I want to do, and it's gonna be tough to go back. I know that for a fact. It's gonna be tough to go back.
Yeah.
It's something that needs to be done, though.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm told. But that's exciting. I'm curious about your interest in tattoos as well, because like
Mm-hmm.
you're definitely fully tatted, but you still have room. You still got one leg,
Right.
and what else? Like armpit, one armpit.
Yeah.
What sparked that? Like, what was your first tattoo?
My first tattoo I got in San Diego.
Hmm.
It was a Royal Tenenbaums tattoo.
A what?
Royal Tenenbaums.
I don't know what that is.
It's a Wes Anderson movie.
Okay.
It wasn't very good. Yeah. It's since covered up, but my interest in tattoos. I mean, number one, they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
But no,
No, I agree.
I mean, I've always been interested in art and music and all of those things. I've never been able to, you know, do any of them like musically or draw or anything.
Yeah.
But I've always been interested in it. I've always liked the arts and
Right.
just moving around a ton my entire life and like just taking whatever like fit in my truck normally, like it kind of fit in like tattoos like it just kind of fit in, I guess.
Right. And like there's the one argument that I kind of like on the other side of tattoos, which says like, you know, your body is perfect the way it is, don't change it. Like what do you think about that?
Um, I guess I could agree with it at some point. I mean, that's all for each person to, you know,
Yeah,
kind
it's
of see
under
for themselves. Like,
interpretation.
yeah, like I don't want to pump my body full of sugar, but someone else, you know, yeah, I don't know.
They might think that's okay.
Right.
Just like tattoos.
Yeah, like my wife doesn't have any tattoos at all.
Yeah.
And she's not going to get any.
Right.
Just that's her personal choice, and I respect that, and I have tattoos, so it's
Yeah, it's always, you know, it's interesting because the more I spend time here. By the way, we're on location at Sacred Tattoo, everybody. It's a beautiful location. Sorry for the cars in the background, but the more I spend time here, the more I want to get tattoos.
yeah,
And I'm set on it at this point. Like, it's going to happen. It's just kind of a matter of time.
yeah,
But what I find is that people who don't have tattoos are like, oh, you shouldn't get a tattoo. Don't get a tattoo. No. But people who have tattoos would never tell people who don't, like, you need a tattoo. Like, you need to get one, you know?
yeah. I guess I'm not the best to say either one, just because I have tattoos.
But you'd never be like, oh, you should get a tattoo, bro. You're not cool unless you have a tattoo.
No way. Like
Right.
I think not having tattoos is like really cool. Like just because everybody has them now.
Mm-hmm.
It's very refreshing and unique to see someone who just doesn't have any.
Yeah.
And it's also like, so like initially when you get into it, you kind of like just want a tattoo or whatever. But like what I've learned is it's way more than that. It's like, it's kind of like having an art collection.
Right.
Like, so now it's more like, you know, you don't want to, I don't want to get like something little just because I want to get a tattoo. Like I want to get like a piece of artwork that like I can appreciate and like have, you know?
Something that means a lot to you.
Yeah. And just something that, you know, you go to someone because you like their artwork, you know, you like the way they do what they do,
Yeah.
you know? Just like as if you would, if you commissioned someone to paint you a picture, like you wouldn't be like, there, I need a couple more flowers and that water isn't the right blue that I wanted. Like you would go to them because you liked the way they painted water.
Yeah.
So I kind of think of it more like that now. Like
That makes a lot of sense.
like I got a lot of Dan's tattoos, and because I really liked his artwork, and for the most part, Dan's done all my tattoos. Another one of my buddies, Matt, he did my ribs because I really liked his artwork. Like I just really wanted a piece from him, and I really didn't care what it was. I just wanted a piece of his artwork, you know?
Yeah. And it seems like it's becoming so much more appreciated and accepted in society.
Oh yeah, I mean especially in Marquette.
Right.
Yeah.
You think that's different other places?
Yeah, I think that the South has, and obviously anyone can say, no, you're wrong, but for the most part, like down south, it's definitely less popular with, it's definitely less popular to have
Yeah.
full everything tattooed.
Yeah.
Whereas places up north, it's like, oh yeah, he's covered up.
I think the South has always been a little more traditional, and that's definitely a generalization,
Right.
but it's a traditional culture.
Well, and yeah, everything, you know, everything's always obviously changing, but you know, years ago, like having that one, like having a one little tattoo on you,
Yeah.
that one little one on your arm, like that was like crazy. Like, you know,
Right.
sailors and guys in the army
Right.
come back from Vietnam and stuff, they'd have little tattoos, and that was like, whoa, like they're tattooed up.
Hardcore or prison.
Yeah.
Come out of prison with
No,
the
for
tattoos.
sure.
Yeah.
And now it's like, yeah, you're what you said. It's more recognized, and honestly, like tattooers are just like, it's just changed so much. Like you can do photorealistic tattoo, and why
Yeah.
wouldn't you want? Why would you want a tiny little photorealistic tattoo when you could have like this big, beautiful
Professional.
piece? Yeah,
Yeah.
you know. So things are getting bigger. They're getting more elaborate. They're really, it's really art. Like it really is. Like
Yeah.
it's just wild. Yeah,
Are you-
I watch the guys in the shop do it, and I'm just like blown away. Like,
I think what most people don't understand is what goes into it. Like, it's not like someone just comes in and they put their arm on the table and they start tattooing. Like, there's a process that goes into creating what the customer wants.
yeah, and just and I'm obviously probably a weird person to say all these things because I am not a tattoo artist,
Right.
just a tattooee
An
or
enthusiast.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's wild, you know, to see the way that they, I guess, you know, the human body as a medium, like skin tone comes into play, position of the thing getting, you know, is it your arm, is it your leg, like, and they like have to incorporate all that.
Yeah.
Then they have to like manipulate their body and their hand to be able to like
Make
tattoo it
bring it to life.
right. Like there's so many different like crazy variables that are going on, and like the person's in pain and they're sweating, and
Yeah.
you know,
And then what about all the work that goes into the drawing board?
yeah, drawing it up. I mean that's a lot too. You gotta be very creative. Like that's why it's an artist. Like That's why this shop is all just like artists. Like they're just putting out
Yeah.
crazy stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
I know. That's why.
That's why you're gonna come here.
That's exactly why. I mean, I kind of already have what I want mapped out,
Yeah.
but
I mean, maybe that's why I kind of like fanboy about like the tattoo world is just because like, I mean, I really do enjoy art and um, old art, but like
yeah.
just like the process is so much more difficult and the result seems, so much, the results that are out there are like so amazing. Like these old Italian painters were, crushing it
Yeah.
and these, and now it's like, I don't know. I think like tattooing is like it's just pretty cool, man.
I agree. I'd like
Yeah.
to talk to Dan someday, and I
Yeah.
know he's going to be listening to this, so
Yeah.
coming
I'm
for
sure
you.
you will. Yeah, and he'll be able to describe everything way better. Like,
Yeah. One thing that I didn't know about you is that you did that pack everything in your truck and move thing. Like, what was that like? When did you start doing the nomadic thing?
um, since day one, man. My dad was in the military, so
Right.
I never lived anywhere longer than 4 years.
So you're constantly moving.
Yep.
What about after you moved away from your parents
Joined the Coast Guard.
and then,
Moved a lot.
yeah. But you never like did any like hardcore traveling on your own. It was mostly
No.
with the Coast Guard.
Yep. I just was like, all right, well, I kind of got that weird itch. Like I think I was in Alabama for a number of years, and then I was like, I should be moving right now.
Yeah.
And then I just went and enlisted and moved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so they kind of allowed you to like bounce around.
Oh, Coast Guard?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they'll just keep moving you all over.
Okay.
So and then yeah, I've been up here for 7 years, I think.
Okay.
UP.
So you like it here?
Love it.
Most people tend to say it's the lake that's the draw.
Hmm.
Would you agree?
No.
No.
Marquette is unique in the fact that it is so it's in a bubble, but it's a good bubble. Blind people here want to be here pretty much
Yeah.
for the most part.
Yeah, and you don't run into a lot of people who are like, man, I hate it here,
Yeah.
which you do tend to run into in other places.
Yeah. I mean, some people could be stuck here, but for the most part, people
College kids are stuck here.
right.
That's all I have
But
come across.
yeah, and when everyone wants to live in a place and it just makes it different. And Marquette is also very unique in the fact that it is up and coming in terms of like sees progression, unlike Houghton and the Sioux. I mean, they see some progression, but not like Marquette. Like, you know,
Like you said you've been here for 7 years. How has it changed?
well, I haven't been in Marquette for 7 years. I think I've only been in Marquette for 3. But
Okay.
I mean, you can just drive around Washington
Seriously?
and see so many more new buildings and just everything. Like even Munising's growing. Like just even stuff on the water, like restaurants and more piers for boats. And dude, Matson Park has that new building. Like everything
Yeah.
is like slowly like
Exploding.
right, and but it still feels like Marquette.
Home.
Yeah, and it's yeah, it definitely does feel like home. Like Marquette's just amazing.
Yeah. After moving all around, it means a lot for you to say something like that. I
Yeah,
feel.
yeah, and I've lived in Hawaii, so
Really?
yeah,
That's interesting. What, and you said you've been to Haiti too.
yeah.
So what are like the main, my voice just cracked, but what are the main differences and like compare and contrast people? Would you say people are universally the same? Or do you think culture really plays a role in defining a society or a group of people?
Oh yeah, everyone's definitely the culture. What do you mean, like? Yeah, people are definitely different in different places. That's for sure.
Yeah. What do you think is always the same? What do you notice is to always be true about people no matter where they live?
That's a tough one, man.
I know.
I think
It just
I
seems
think
like
if
you've
you
been.
I think you can only you're the only thing that is ever gonna be consistent.
Wow. That's profound.
But you know what I mean, like It's just you've only got control over your own view and perspective, and you're never going to change anyone else's. You can only change yours or adapt or
Yeah.
sort of make the best of wherever you are.
Yeah. Because
So
it kind of is what you make it.
exactly, and I know that's like
Cliche.
yeah,
Yeah.
everyone always says that sort of thing, but and, it's like Marquette, man. Like you move here and there's a million things to do, or there's none. It just
I've heard that too.
yeah, it just depends on
Who you are.
yeah. So it's I'd say that's the wherever you go. Someone can move to Hawaii and they're like, "There's nothing to do here. I'm stuck on this island."
Mm-hmm.
It's like, right,
You could do so much. That's an interesting thought to be basically in a world that's consistent, but the way that you see it is forever changing. So, but that's your choice,
hmm
it seems.
yeah. Because I mean, I moved around so much and I've had to like, I mean, I've kind of picked up things from other places and stuff. But if you lose like your sort of, I guess, it's very easy to lose yourself when you move
Right.
and sort of lose who you are. And honestly, that's what I've really spent the last week really trying to solidify and kind of is like, I just want to make sure that when I move, I'm still,
Right. Well, that's kind of like letting your status define you. Like letting the Coast Guard like define you as a person,
yeah,
which is far from the truth.
yeah. And that is very true.
And it's probably hard to, I kind of went through the same thing because I've been a personal trainer for 5 years, and that's kind of always been my go-to. Is like, yeah, I'm a personal trainer. So,
Right.
and then people kind of have an idea of who I am. Well, maybe I don't even have to tell them what I do, and they can just see who I am because I live it every day, or I portray it with my actions and my questions or my thoughts or whatever you may have.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think so, I mean, yeah, Coast Guard for a long time. My wife was a nurse down in Tennessee, and she, when she moved up here, she was kind of, like, like I was a nurse at this hospital,
Yeah,
and like that's kind of, and I, would tell her like, no, like, no, because I never saw her as a nurse from this hospital.
yeah,
I saw her as this, beautiful
yeah,
Christian girl. And she had so many other things that was like, but she was saying that was her.
yeah.
And I never understood that until Monday.
Right.
And
Because
then I'm
like
just
I'm
like,
Henry. I'm a Coast Guard officer. Like,
yeah, and I don't even think I ever introduced myself as I was in the Coast Guard, and I really always, I think, tried to play it down. I don't know, but in the back of my mind, I knew, hey, I'm driving that boat. Like that's who I am. I drive the boat. Like that's just,
right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My fallback. And I didn't
Exactly.
need to tell anyone that, but in my head, I'm like, I'm a boat driver. Like I drive the boat.
Right. And without telling anybody that, you are telling them that
Right.
with how you act
Right.
and how you talk.
So, and the thing is that I think is super cool about you, and I've just honestly discovered this is like how you don't have to like have that, like how you're just taking like wild shots, like you're like into all sorts of everything, but you're like full on into it.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
dude, that is really something that I've realized and tried to just get a hold of because it's a wildfire and it's
Yeah.
always burning, and it's like I don't do anything halfway.
Oh, I know. That's good.
I don't do anything halfway.
Yeah.
But that's dangerous. On the same token, that's dangerous. I don't drink halfway, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't party halfway.
Yeah.
I don't cliff dive halfway.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe just kind of set those things aside.
Yeah.
Because doing those things full bore, 100%
Yeah.
with no fear is dangerous to my health. Is dangerous to my spirit. It's things that are going to taint my life.
Yeah.
So I have to push them aside and be full on, full throttle on things like yoga.
Yeah.
Things like
Dude, like that thing I told you before we started this thing.
what?
Pursue.
Pursue.
Remember what did I read that from church today?
Yeah, tell me again.
That's
Tell
what,
the people. Educate the people, Henry.
yeah, flee from foolish temptations, youthful passions, and pursue righteousness, love, faith, and peace. So, like, I mean, that's what we're talking about right now. Like,
Right.
obviously, I mean, so run away from all those wild things.
Right. Leap. Don't just take steps. Leap into something that's going to fulfill you and that is going to be positive, a positive progression for you. That you're gonna, it might be hard because I mean, shit, yoga has been really hard to stay consistent and stay driven all the way through. I've gone, I've had to ride some waves,
Yep.
but it's shown me more about me and about life than I could ever have imagined. It's it's tough. It's tough at times because it's the road less traveled. A lot of people our age, I feel comfortable saying our age,
Okay.
don't look at it like that. So it's hard to be different sometimes,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to give reward that money cannot buy,
Yeah.
status cannot achieve, ego cannot produce.
Well, I was trying to say, like, in terms of the wild shots, I didn't mean that, like, wild. I meant, like, you aren't, like, and I'm not either like this anymore. Like, I'm a boat driver. You're a personal trainer. You're like, maybe I'm a podcaster,
Yeah, maybe
but
I'm
you've done so many. It's like, you're just going to keep doing it. And it's like, when you started going to yoga, I'm like, all right, like, I mean, that's cool. Like, but I've seen you, Advantage. I've seen you at the Y, like, kind of like me, like, bouncing around. But then you stuck with it too. And so, like, and, just taking wild shots, like, is like, I feel like sometimes at least when I was in the Coast Guard, like, I didn't feel like I could necessarily take wild shots and, like, change
right.
everything
I know what you're saying.
or just jump into something so far.
Yeah.
But now I feel like that. Like,
Yeah.
that's why I say, like, oh, nursing. But I have no idea. Like,
Right.
I might find something and just,
That's so cool
You
to,
know-
to not be, because people are afraid
right.
of that.
And that's what I was trying to say about you, man. You're, like, just jumping into wild things, and I think that's very refreshing.
Yeah.
And also, like, I mean, you see younger people and anyone jump into things and just let it fizzle real quick. Like, you might do, if you had made 2 podcasts and it was like, but just continually being, like, consistent
Yeah.
to yourself and
Yeah.
in these endeavors. Like, I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Thank you, Henry.
Yeah.
And I've failed along the way. And
Oh,
that's,
yeah.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
That's
For sure.
so important
Yeah.
to be able to adapt and modify
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is that you're doing to make it work for you. I remember I've said this before. Episode 4 was a complete failure of the podcast.
Who was that?
It was Scott, the professor, the sports science professor. If you notice, if you go back and listen to that episode, it is chopped up. That's because that interview was 2 hours, and I get super nerded out when I talk to him because I love sports science, and I exhausted him, and he had to walk away.
Dang.
He walked off the podcast, like didn't even finish it. If you go to episode 4 and go to the end of it, there's no outro, there's
Yeah.
no ending. It's literally, thanks for watching.
Yeah. I mean, if it got weird, I was planning on taking my shirt off and just running out. But
Well, that's okay as long
going
as
pretty good.
Yeah, as long as we can do the classic outro. But that failure has taught me much more than I could have learned by just reading a book about podcasting
yeah.
or like just not trying.
And when I heard you start this, like, I mean, I never had, like, lofty, like, I didn't think, like, I would listen to it and it's like, oh, this is the new Joe Rogan first episode or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like, so I don't have social media or anything, but when I did, what's the guy, Word on the Street?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Marquette.
that's kind of how, like, I pictured this podcast eventually being, is, like, it's just fun, like, just because Marquette is that bubble, it's fun to, like, I had no idea who wasn't doing superior culture
Yeah, the
kombucha.
kombucha.
but I'd always seen it everywhere, and
Alex
I drank
Roland.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just fun to like put, you know, a face to like this Marquette thing.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and Slick Nick, like that was fun. Like a lot of stuff, you know, I know him, but I didn't know some of those things, and it's just cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just different people that you would see.
Around.
Yeah, it's just fun.
It's a small town, so to learn about those people and then share what they have learned, we can all be a little closer.
Yeah,
We can all be a closer community.
yeah,
At some point, I'd like to just, because I'm learning right now. I'm
yeah,
learning about the Coast Guard. I'm learning
yeah,
things about jujitsu. I'm learning things about life experience.
yeah,
And if I can take that and share it with others on a platform, it's like my pleasure. It's like, are you serious? Like this is a thing that it's a privilege. It's a
right.
privilege that I get to do it. So I'm just grateful to have fallen into it.
Yeah,
You
no, I
know?
think it's the little niche. Like it's hard to find niches here in
Yeah.
Marquette because everyone like is so smart and like creative. They find them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they just find them.
Yeah.
But I think this is one that Marquette definitely could use, and it would be very. I think it's really cool. You know?
Yeah. And now it's remote. I don't have that
Yeah.
studio. So this is now the second episode, this is now the second episode that has not been shot at my house.
Cool.
I moved. So
Okay.
I don't have that studio anymore. We're just going to be doing it like remotely.
Yeah.
So information operation will now be shot in various locations with various professionals and just talking about whatever they're passionate about. You know?
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I'm definitely a big fan. And definitely honored to be on it.
Dude, it's been awesome to have you.
Yeah.
Before we wrap this up, because we're at like an
Yeah.
hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you drink Folgers?
No. No.
I'm not trying to offend anybody.
No,
but
yeah, coffee. I mean, contrast. We're drinking contrast right now. That's my jam.
we're trying to help people,
Yeah.
point them in the right direction.
Yeah, contrast, man.
How'd you get into
We use Veldrum a lot too
Mm-hmm.
at the shop. There's a current record that I intend to break on Tuesday, but
you guys, what kind of record?
David, the shop manager,
Yeah.
managed to from that door run to Veldrum and back in less than 3 minutes on a coffee run.
With hot coffee on the way back?
Now he had cold brew,
Okay. Well, that's
so that's the current shop record, and I'm probably gonna try to beat that on Tuesday.
there must have been no line. That's incredible,
It is.
you know,
I got to shout out to my sponsors too, real quick.
for sure.
Sacred Tattoo,
Sacred Tattoo, shout out.
all your tattoo needs, on Washington Street, and then yeah, Tulivesi for all your yoga needs.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
I am 100% behind those two businesses too.
good.
So I appreciate the shout out, and we will catch up later this week at yoga. I appreciate you being on the show, man.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me, man.
Until next time, guys. Ride the waves, dude.